Hello, this is Zeeebo and welcome to today's AFK journey video. So today's video is a collab video and I have a very well-known content creator in the space with me today. We have Rek, so I'll let Rek introduce himself. So Rek, please introduce yourself.
What is up guys, Rek is here, and today as a guest on Zeebo's livestream, if you guys have no idea who I am also an AFK journey content creator. Was coming from Idle Heroes in the past, now doing a whole lot of AFK journey stuff, and very happy to be here together with Zeebo. Thank you for that, mate. I think we will have a very interesting discussion today.
Okay, so if you guys have seen the title, in today's video we're going to talk about the current state of the game. We're going to talk about like what we enjoy about the new season, as well as possibly some room for improvements or pointers where the game can be improved upon. So how about I let Rek start by introducing his favorite parts about Song of Strife itself.
What I really liked about Song of Strife, I have to say, was that we got a really extensive addition to the open world. I personally really didn't expect that. I was thinking there would be like one area, maybe two areas, but it was nearly as big as the whole main story, which I thought was quite insane. I really liked the character design in there and the whole story pacing and telling. I think that was really one of the best parts we saw during that season. What did you like, Zeebo?
Personally, I like the introduction of like quite a few game modes. So like the introduction of Supreme Arena is something which I enjoy. More strategizing, more variety in terms of team building. The setting of different conditions changes things out. The introduction of new bosses also gave new strategies and stuff. And Dura's Trial, which introduced Magic Charm, is something which is quite interesting, right? Moving forward, there's still more to be explored about the game mode, but I love exploring, so any new content is welcome by me. So yeah, that's for the Song of Strife part. Okay, so for today, right, we're gonna go into, I'll say, like the not so happy pointers or things which could be improved upon. And recently there is a lot of I'll say opinions about the things that people talk about the game, and we're gonna talk about it. Okay, so the very first thing which I think a lot of people mention is that this game has a lack of direction as to who it wants to cater to in terms of the time consumption part. So what do you feel about that, Rek?
Yeah, I think like we already talked about it a bit in the past. I feel like personally, from the side of the gameplay perspective, it really takes a lot of time. You have to spend your time every single day, grind out stages, grind out progress if you really want to be optimal, or in the case of some game modes, to fulfill requirements to reach new stages. So it really takes a lot of time, while at the same time you of course also need to spend to get good hero copies, to get weapons, to get all of that going. So I think in that sense it kind of reaches or wants to reach out to a player that doesn't really exist or is pretty rare. The player with money and a lot of time, which I mean, like, if you want to make money, you usually spend that time on a job. If you have a lot of time, then you often don't have a job that earns you a lot, or don't spend a lot of time working. So really, in that sense, it is a bit difficult on who they want to target.
I mean, for this point itself, right, like I'll say my take about this point is that personally, I'm a pretty hardcore player, so I do spend a lot of time trying to try hard and push through certain stages that are really difficult, or you know, you can actually push through even if you are really underpowered, but you need a lot of trial and error. But at the same time, it's a little bit too time consuming on a day-to-day basis, because you got to do it every single day to progress, and a lot of the, I'll say, like the progression or the rewards are based on how far you can push, and that creates a sense of FOMO. Like you are worried that you fall behind the pack, and you're worried that I'm losing out compared to other players. So it makes it, I'll say, kind of bad in a sense. Like, it's something where I think the people who have the money, like I mentioned earlier, they don't have the time to do it every day, so they find it a chore. And then for people who don't spend a lot in the game, yeah, they're not catching up, right? They're not catching up in terms of the unit quality. So there's definitely something which I don't know how they can address it. Do you think there's any way for them to sort of improve this situation, or?
I mean, it's difficult. I certainly, to add up to your point, I feel in the same way. Like today, for example, is a day where the next Duras trial stage is unlocked. I saw you already have it unlocked. And the requirement for that is actually clearing AFK progress 700. And to get to 700, if you had the stages before cleared, so the requirement for stage 8 achieved, they were at 630. So I am currently at 634 and I will have to go to 700, which is a lot. It's 66 stages. I assume it will take me 3 to 4 hours maybe. And that's like every 2 days is very much so insane. I mean, the way they can tackle this, it's difficult. You kind of want to be competitive. You kind of want to stay up to the highest unlocks and put that measure up to yourself, really. Because I mean, maybe I would lose a few positions if I didn't do that. But also, I mean, as a content creator, I kind of have an interest in going for that. So, I mean, you could make the game less competitive by losing such requirements. But I also feel like that isn't the best way to do it. You could stretch it out. You could. They made the season day requirement in Duas Trial that lets you. That basically means you have to wait a few days until you unlock it. And I mean, like on the next stage, which you just showed, you can see it's pretty long. It's 5 days actually, which is fairly interesting. But usually it was like 2 days. And I mean, the longer it is, the more trivial it becomes to reach the AFK progress requirements. So in that sense, the longer the season day requirement, the less competitive or the less time consuming on a day-to-day basis it really is. But the question in that is really, do you need 1,200 AFK stages in a season? So what do you think about that?
That's, I mean, personally, I'll say, if you ask me honestly, I think 1,200 is a little bit too much. Okay, so because I think most of us who have been, I mean, who is still in the game, right, we are very much fine with consistently pushing the stages, but having to redo the AFK challenges all over again could be a major turn off for a huge group of people, right? Because you're doing the same content for the second time, and like you can do it at the very start when the server started, so people are excited for new contents, but you probably have to change out the mode of contents that people have to push through, like to give more variety, and so that people don't feel like it's a chore to redo everything again. I think the idea is not having to redo the same thing for an extended period of time, because I think right now most of us are, at least for the first batch of players, we are roughly around 2 to 3 weeks into the season. So we have been doing this pushing stage thing for like 2 to 3 weeks already, and it's still not the end. There's still more coming. So like it could be quite mentally tiring if you think about it, like having to do everything again and having to play through this whole thing again for 1 whole month, right? And this season still has a few more weeks ahead of us, so I honestly don't know what to expect, but 1,200 feels a little bit too much in my personal opinion. So yeah, I don't know how they can improve it, but setting a benchmark in terms of, you know, how much each player can push, such as having like some unlock conditions or some recommendations to the power, or making all these like unlock conditions or benchmark more open or clear cut, could probably lighten that issue as well. Like that's just how I feel, but I don't know how well it will be received by the community itself.
Yeah, and certainly if we think about it, 1,200 stages, what that really means is that the more stages you have in a season, the less meaningful it feels to clear one. So there are very small power gaps between those stages. I don't think it would be necessarily that bad to widen that gap a little bit, to make the next stage a bit more difficult than it is now. Like put a bigger distance between them, make less stages, and thereby reduce the requirements to unlock new content. If there were 120 stages, for example, I mean, of course, the distance between each stage in power would have to be 10 times as high as now to achieve the same duration of progress or the same amount of time required to progress within those stages. But still, if you cleared a stage, that would be way more interesting, and then it wouldn't be 66 stages that I have to clear. Maybe it would be 6, and with a proper strategy I would be through there much faster, but in a more meaningful manner. And I think that would be quite kind of interesting if they would explore that, because I think this 1200, as you said, I think it was 1200, it feels like a burden, and it feels very repetitive. And on a lot of stages, you use the same team really to clear it, and the differences in there aren't really that huge. So that, I think, is a bit concerning. I hope they find the solution for that. But right now we didn't see it, at least not in the base game and neither in this season. So I think it will be something for them to do in the next season. But we'll see how they approach that topic, and if they put it on their menu and put it on their tablet to find a solution for this.
Yeah, completely agree. I think the focus should not be on the quantity, but the quality of the achievements. So like that will probably sort of help with this issue quite a lot, because I do agree with your point that it feels less significant clearing 60 stages where the gap is not very big. Like, I'm not getting a significant advantage over it. So hopefully they find a solution for it. Like this, I think this issue is quite a tough one to overcome. And let's see, what they have for us in the next patch or even the next season to come for the game itself. Okay, so with regards to the new season, they also have the new game mode, Supreme Arena. So what's your experience with Supreme Arena right now, Rex?
I mean, my first contact with Supreme Arena was a bit of a weird one. I think it was the same for everybody that cleared it on the low servers, where you came into the game mode, you unlocked, you fulfilled the requirement, and couldn't beat any of those bots that were in there because they were super over leveled. I think that was.
Oh yeah, I remember that as well.
Yeah, that was fairly weird. Beyond that, I like the format of having like 3 teams fighting the enemies. 3 teams having to set that up is a bit of a hassle, of course, but it is still very interesting. They also included the new PvP mode into that, which is now basically an arena on some of those formats. I think it was the Arena 2 during the last season of Supreme Arena, which I think was pretty nice. It's the concern, and I think we agreed on that it was a concern before, was that, I mean, once you lose a fight, you lose a ton of ranks potentially, and if it happens within the last minutes of a day, there is basically nothing you can do, and you can attack a person 3-4 times, no problem, just to find out their weakness and find a lineup that beats them. And I think that is a bit of a weakness there. Maybe you can add up to that a little bit.
Okay, so I think we spoke a little bit just now, but for this game mode itself, I really find it very interesting in a sense. They have this question mark feature where you can hide some units in the hidden tile side. Yeah, so it sort of adds the surprise element to it, but at the same time, because just now you said that you can attack the guy repeatedly. So if I attack you 5 times in a row and you're not online, I will figure out what's your positioning as well as the units behind those question marks. And that's one thing which I think could be improved upon, like maybe some timer or some buffer time before repeated hitting on the same guy. Maybe like I'll say 10 minutes to 30 minutes. I think that's fair enough, because that way when you attack someone, instead of just brute forcing your way to beat the guy by just trying out different comps, you are strategizing every hit that you are doing on that same guy or that target they are trying to hit. So that'll probably make like this game mode more interesting, and the timer thing which I talk about could also be implemented for the standard arena as well, because I think whatever issue that is currently in Supreme Arena is also in Arena in a certain manner as well.
Yep. Yeah,
so
I think so.
So that's one thing which I think could definitely be improved upon. But so far, I think the game mode is still pretty nicely done, in a sense. I think from what we observe right now, we are around the 3rd week. So for the maps itself, they are introducing the map variety in terms of changing the maps out, and they're also changing out the raging duel conditions. So this will sort of force you to try out different teams there. But with regards to the team variety part, just now you also mentioned that, you know, you want the same variety to be introduced in the arena side of things. So maybe you want to elaborate more about that?
Yeah, true. So one thing that I was also very concerned about, I really didn't like the feeling that the normal arena was non-season, that there was no access to the season stuff. Because while I like the 3 versus 3 format and all of the varieties that brings, I also kind of like the normal arena. I like this 1 versus 1 fight, but I think it could be very refreshing to see some of the seasonal content enter that game. Specifically, the artifacts. I was wondering about the artifacts. One artifact that came to my mind was the Cascade artifact, an artifact that grants you energy at the beginning of the fight. And currently there is no access to that, and that blocks you basically from building certain teams. For example, Coco is very, very strong. She can get to her ult very fast. And with this Cascade artifact, you basically enable that. So there are a lot of versions of teams around heroes that just need their ult that would benefit from having the Cascade artifact there. And while there is a little problem with that in terms of power that you get through your artifacts, I think this could be diminished if all of the artifacts were at the same level, like we see it in Arena at the moment right now. We're unlocked at the same level for everybody, and everybody could use them just to have some fun there. So I would really like that, and would love to see the seasonal content enter the arena as well, because I just don't see a point why or reason why that isn't the case. Beyond that, you talked about the timer between repeated attacks on somebody. I thought that was a very good point that you talked about the question mark areas. That just if you attack somebody repeatedly, of course, this question mark areas where you can hide somebody in Supreme Arena, though they are completely pointless, because after the second attack or at the second attack, you will know what was hidden there, and you can attack
like
somebody
right now
5
I'm
times
on my
in a
screen,
row.
right?
Yeah.
And right now I'm on my screen, and then you see this guy hitting me like 7 or 8 times, so the question mark becomes irrelevant if he can do this like 7 or 8 times straight without any cooldown or anything.
In an arena there, I get attacked like 20 times a day from 3 different people. That there's like place 1, 2, and 3 in arena attack me as often as they can every single day. And that is boring, that is pointless, feels bad for the person. I saw a lot of Reddit posts on that as well, of people complaining, hey, I get farmed by that guy, just destroy my fun in arena a little bit. I think, as you already said, a small cooldown between your ability to attack somebody repeatedly, that would already be sufficient, because most people, they do their attacks within a time frame. You can see of your screen all of those attacks 4 hours ago. It isn't like that dude went away, came back later, did some more attacks, and did that 3 times during the day. He just wanted to get his attacks done, did them all repeatedly, and found you every single time, which is boring, which is not the way I think this should be designed. If there was a cooldown between it, you would need to face different teams, and it wouldn't be so easy to find the one team he can counter very, very well and get the easy win, I would say, by just attacking a team he's very strong against. So I think that is a very big point in Arena and Supreme Arena as well.
I think this repeated hit thing is, I'll say, a much bigger issue in Supreme Arena than normal Arena, because Supreme Arena is a positional swap. So let's say if you are fighting a group of players, right? So they share their information, they share the teams to counter how to deal with certain teams, and then, you know, some guy who could be really weak, who is like, maybe for example right now I'm rank 5, right? Like another guy could be maybe rank 50, but he knows how to counter my team, and then he can just hit me, and then I will drop from rank 5 all the way to rank 50, which will cause me to lose a lot of my daily rewards, and obviously destroy a lot of fun from there. So I think it is quite important, especially more so for Supreme Arena than anything else, at least to have some sort of like buffer or prevention against this, even though I think they already have it, but I just feel that it's kind of insufficient right now. Like there's this calculation timer, but it's not enough. Like it's good, but it's not enough. So hopefully something can be done there.
Definitely.
Because this is one of my favorite game modes so far in terms of strategizing and team building and stuff.
Yeah, I feel so too. And I mean, you said it already, you can see it in the daily rewards there. The distance at the top between the ranks, we have 1 to 5, 6 to 20, 21 to 50, is not very big. Usually you can only go up a certain amount of ranks with a single attack because the distance is a bit limited there. It will only match you to enemies that are within a certain increment of ranks between you and, well, the enemy. And that is okay if you are around rank 200, if you are around rank 2000, but if you are in the like top 50, you can attack top players there. You can go into the like top 10 easily with one attack, and that is really dangerous. Suddenly you have 50 strong people that want to have your rank and will try to attack you towards the end of the day, and that I think is not very cool. You said it correctly, it is way more important to have that in Supreme Arena. In Arena, personally, I said I get attacked 20 times a day, but it makes no difference to my loot. I'm at the same rank even if I go out there for 3 days, because I only lose 1 point per attack, and it doesn't change my position or my loot in Arena at all. You lose a lot more, because you probably have higher points than me. But,
I mean for Arena side of things, right? Like, I think the point system makes it such that doing repeated attack is less rewarding compared to the positional swap. So that's one thing, which is why I think it matters less in normal Arena than in Supreme Arena. Yeah.
It's just for the motivation aspect, I guess.
Yes,
if correct. If you look into your list
aspect.
and you have 20 losses in there, I don't think it feels particularly well.
Okay, so that's for the Arena side of things. That I would say that these pointers are probably a lot about personal opinions, because we are both, I'll say, like more hardcore players in these game modes. So when you get into a very hardcore position, these kind of things do happen quite frequently. So if let's say you guys, right, who are maybe in a more relaxed version of the game mode, like you're ranked 200, 300, you have other opinions, feel free to share in the comment section down below as well. We would love to hear that from you guys. So I think that's pretty much it for the Supreme Arena as well as the Arena side of things. The last point, which we talked about just now, and I think it's also sort of echoed in Reddit, is I'll say, like, when is the next update? You know, what's to come in the future about the game? Is there anything else to do after we finish the story? What's next for the game itself? So what do you feel about that?
It is discussed certainly quite a lot. I think it is really about the information point. Right now, and I was talking to you before we started recording, I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about the next rate up. And the next rate up from this point on, I mean, we can show it right there. Also rate up 1 day, 9 hours, it will end, and then we expect a new rate up. At least this was the case last time. Well, not exactly. When the countdown ended, we didn't get a new rate up last time. We got it together with the seasonal update, which we had no real information on. Right now, at this given point, there is no information on the next rate up specifically. So I think people just lack those informations. They want to know what the next rate up is, they want to be hyped for what the next rate up is, but the information is not out there. So while the devs try to communicate, I think at some points they fail, and this is certainly one of them in my opinion, because, well, how are you going to be hyped for a new hero if you don't know what the new hero is going to be, and if you have seen nothing of it that close to the release?
That's true. Like, I don't even know whether or not Soren will be released soon after Elsa's banner. And as an A-level character, I'm also not very sure how they're gonna introduce it in the banner. So that's probably something which could be better communicated from the developers to the players, so that people have something to be waiting for, people have something to be hyped for, rather than not knowing anything. So that is definitely something which could be greatly improved upon. And other than, I think, the banner itself, right, for the story contents, I'm pretty sure the developers have a lot of contents prepared for us, right? But as you guys can see, I think if you have been playing in the season for quite a while and you have been progressing smoothly, for most people, we are done with the whole story content, right? So we'll be playing Dura's Trial, we'll be doing the daily AFK challenge push, and we are waiting for the primer lot itself. But what's next? What's the next event to come? That's something which I think they definitely have something for us, but we have no idea about, right? Even as content creators itself. So that's something which I don't know what's your opinion about that, but for me, they could probably hype us up by giving us some teaser of what is to come, right? When we are so close to, like, for example, the new banner, or maybe give us like a roadmap of like the new season itself. Like maybe, okay, this week we are getting that week we are getting that, and if there's any changes, I think just being open with telling the players about it could be something that will be more beneficial for the game in the long run as well, right? Like, so that's something which I think would be greatly appreciated. But at the same time, I think talking about all these updates and stuff, I do see them trying to do it in the developers news. So there is something to be done, but it's just not fast enough, and sometimes it's more reactionary than, I'll say, like what's the better word to put it, than direct, right? So like, I think this one is reflected in the recent true damage change in the seasonal Dream Realm itself. So there was a change, and from a player who values variety, from a player who loves to test things out and get new ideas, I think the change to the seasonal Dream Realm, in case you guys do not know, there was some damage type change for the magical damage, physical damage, as well as true damage. There was a change, right? But they also communicated it, but it was very briefly ran through. So like, what do you think they could have done better on this part, or what do you think could have been done, right, to prevent, you know, similar situations from happening again?
I think it wasn't very clearly communicated. I didn't know about it. I saw your video. I think you showed it there in the video about the true damage nerf. I had no idea about it, I'll be honest. I only later commented on it a little bit. But yeah, it's like they put it in the patch notes, but like didn't really make it clear. They didn't say, okay, we are going to nerf Merrily basically for most content you guys use it in currently. Or they didn't even tell us about the idea behind it, really. And only later we got to know it. And this is like, you said it the way, it's a bit reactionary. They made this the same with the news they put out. If we now complain a lot, then there will probably be some news about the season and what's to happen. But on the seasonal stuff, players now decide whether they want to play the game again, if they want to continue playing the game. They use the information they have right now at their hands to decide whether or not this game is worth playing for the foreseeable future. If they had a roadmap and they would see, okay, there is maybe 1, 2, 3 new events, we have a raid up there, we have a raid up there, there's going to be a new S hero or an A hero, whatever, I think that would be fairly interesting for them, and is something that has come up in Reddit discussions and is something that is desired by players. And if you want to have a roadmap, by the way, tell us down in the comments. I think devs will see this video, so maybe you can tell them there and they will see your comments.
I'm pretty sure somebody will come to this and then they'll be like, oh yeah, maybe we could do this to improve the game. So I think for this part, right, I feel that so far when the developers actually introduce change to the game, they actually have good intentions. So on top of the true damage nerf itself, they actually buff up a certain part in the seasonal Dream Realm, which not many people realize, but they actually buff up like the buffing mechanics in the game. So your artifact actually does more damage based on how much buff your team got. So that was actually a buff, right? So there was a change, which is a nerf in one way, but there was also a buff which was implemented altogether. But because there was a lack of communication as to why they made certain changes, what their plans were, I think people zoomed in on the nerfs instead of like focusing on the bigger picture, which is promoting variety, which is something which I feel was quite a missed, right, on their end. Like I feel that the change was good. Like to me, I feel that the true damage change was needed because Merrily was just in every team and it was not healthy in terms of the variety side of things.
Yep.
So
good. It was good, like, so that, in the way they brought a bit of change. It changed up the true damage mechanic in Dream Realm a little bit, and actually gave it some nice change of pace. I think most players really didn't like it because they felt their investment in Merrily was now pointless. Because neither we nor the other players could really see the intention behind it. They couldn't see that they planned to make it useful in endless mode of the Dream Realm bosses, which is far in the future. We're not even there yet, so it is more of an endgame thing. And if they told the players, hey, we are going to make Marilee this endgame hero she is now, and we are going to use your OD is going to be great against all Dream Realm bosses, against AFK in early game, I think that would have been given a way more clear direction, because it gives the nice opportunity to just say as a new player, okay, I'm going to go for OD, I can build Marilee later, because my OD will be alright, it will help me through AFK stages, it will help me with Dream Realm, will be perfect. There is no need for me currently to go for Marilee, I can do that later.
Completely agree with that. Like, I think the idea is just being clear and concise with the game direction, and that will probably be a lot more healthier in nourishing a long-term relationship between the players as well as the developers itself.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess that's pretty much it, right? Is there any other points you want to add on with regards to what can be improved, or what's like the current issues with the game right now?
No, not necessarily. I think the devs will have to be very careful in making the player's investment feel valid, feel appreciated, and not make it feel like a bad decision. That is still a permanent one, like they did with Marilee. I think the thing most players didn't like was they maybe took their weapon into +15 or something and felt like the resources were stuck there, and from one day or the other, this hero became seemingly pointless, which wasn't true, but it was the feeling, I think. And I think with that can be combated by good communication, and maybe if the point comes and you nerf such a hero, make it clear, make it open, give some statements out, maybe let content creators know about it so we can discuss it in the video, and can make another collab video maybe on such an occasion. That would certainly be interesting. And if everything
is fun, by the way.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. And if all of that is done, then maybe even give them the option to get their resources back from such a weapon, and maybe give them. I think I suggested a token or something they could give out that lets you regress one weapon and get all the resources back if they nerf such a hero. I think that would be fair.
I completely agree with that. Although that might not come in the near future, but it is definitely something that we could hope for the future to come, right? If they do proceed with such changes again in future patches or something.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess that's pretty much it for this video, right? Really great to have our guest star over here. Let me know down in the comment section below if you want to see more collabs with other AFK Journey content creators and who you want to see next. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do you have anything else to say, Mr. Rack?
Oh, thank you guys for having me here on this channel. Thank you, Zeeebo. Always happy to be here. If you want to make another video, please let me know. It was quite a lot of fun to discuss all of those game topics with you. And I'm very happy to be back again. Maybe in the future, if your viewers want to see another video of us together. If you want to see that, let us know in the comments down below definitely as well. Thank you.
Okay, so that's it for this video. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more, and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys!